Yeah,
Do you only see the slides or do you see my note taker?
I do not see the note taker. I just see the slide.
Perfect. Perfect. I do like to have bullets to keep myself on track. For those of you who know me, you know I can, I don't know, get on a roll and sometimes and then lose track of time. So I do always like to have little notes to keep me focused. Anyway, so we're here. What ifs, control freakouts, and coping crashes, how to rewire your emotional chaos before it hijacks your life. So, hello, everyone. Again, welcome. I'm Tricia Parido. And if you're here, it's probably because you've been holding it all together so well that not even anybody else sees the fact that you are falling apart on the inside. Yeah. But what if today isn't just another session where you learn something interesting? What if, I don't know, what if this moment you finally get your clarity back? So we're going to do a little no fluff, real talk and dive in. But I wanted you to know a little bit about me, right? Because I'm not just teaching this to you, I've actually lived it. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor of trauma, of chaos, of trying to keep it all together for everyone else while quietly breaking on the inside. I've lived through near-death experiences, motherhood trauma, addiction, eating disorders, alcohol that I thought was just unwinding, but really it was my emotional anesthetic. And I had a lifetime of emotional suppression. So I was praised a lot in my life for my ability to control. But underneath it all, I felt quite disposable. Now, I tell this story a lot, but I truly was born a perfectionist. And perhaps you can relate to this. Yeah. I was trained by life to be a people pleaser. I thought that control would protect me. But ultimately what happened was it became my prison. So yeah, I know the loop, right? The loops here and in your gut, right? Like I know them and I know what it takes to break it. Now, before we go any deeper, I want you guys to ask yourself, where am I still white knuckling my way through life, pretending everything is fine? Because if your nervous system is running the show, it's time, it's time for you to take the mic back. Yeah. Now, here's the thought, right? Maybe you can relate to this. Have you ever caught yourself living 5 disasters ahead of the right now, present moment? That's future tripping. That's the what if I fail? What if they leave? What if I can't handle it? Now, the important thing to know is that that's not protection. It's your nervous system writing fiction. So you want to start to notice, excuse me, fighting a little bit of a something today. So anyway, I want you to start to notice, where have you been living in a future that hasn't arrived yet? And then I want you to imagine what would change for you if you stopped leaking energy into fear-based fiction. Now I want you to consider something else. I want you to consider the fact that you're not tired from life. Right? You're not tired from life. You're tired from your own brain's emergency broadcast system. Maybe it looks like this for you, but maybe you wake up exhausted and you think it's because you didn't get any sleep, but it's not because you didn't sleep. But instead, it's because your system's been on guard since yesterday. Right? Like it's been on guard since yesterday. You went to bed on guard, thinking about what's coming next. And I want to tell you this, and I want you to hear it. No amount of to-do lists or spreadsheets is going to save you from that kind of burnout. The emotional crash cycle. Right? Welcome to the loop. Welcome to the loop. And I call it the crash cycle for a reason, because it has a pattern. And I'm going to share with you here, what that looks like, feels like, and I want you to be listening with a learner's headspace, because your version may look, feel, sound a little bit different. Okay, we're all unique individual beings. So because I've been at this for 12 years, because I lived a really long life and and have, well over 30 years of diving into this stuff, right? I know, generally what this looks like, but everybody's unique. And that's the beauty of it all. But so this crash cycle looks like you get triggered or prompted, because I really don't like the word triggered, but you get prompted by something. Maybe it's, a text message. Maybe it's a tone, right? People use tones that maybe don't serve you. Sometimes it's nothing at all, but you get triggered or prompted by something. And your brain says, oh my gosh, here we go again. And it starts rolling out the full panic script, right? Like it's just on fire, rapid fire, shooting it all out. And then your body launches into what I refer to as DEFCON 1, because now, right, like the nervous system's on fire and it's just on. And then you start snapping, right? Snapping at people, or you're shutting down, closing off. And for a lot of us, right, that looks for a reach for the coping. Like, what is that coping that I'm going to reach for? Is it, I'm going to sit down with a bucket of Ben and Jerry's, right? Like the comfort food. Is it, I don't know, that could be tortilla chips. It could be whatever. If food is a coping for you, alcohol's a big one, right? So stressed out, I need a drink. Or we overwork and we dive just head first into our perfectionism, right? It's a cycle. And then after we've done our loop, comes our shame hangover. And that can be, and I want you to know this, with the workaholism and the perfectionism, right? Like we still get those hangovers. We don't necessarily have to eat a ton of sugar or drink, right? But we have that, oh my, did it again. I said I wasn't going to snap at the kids anymore. I said I was going to leave work at home. I said, right? So we have that shame hangover. Now, the truth about this I know that some people have a hard time grasping this, okay? So the truth about everything that I just explained, that emotional crash cycle, is that you're not overreacting. You're overloaded. Your system is doing what it was trained to do. Survive. Like your system's been trained for this whole survival mode. Sound familiar? Feel free to use the chat at any time. I will come around to questions and answers. Just so that, because I did not say that at the beginning, and we will have that opportunity, right? But if that sounds familiar, I want you to know something, and I want you to hear this in your soul. That is not weakness. That's an emotional system that's running on survival mode, not performance. My slides got stuck there for a minute. So, let's talk about the root of it, right? We want to get into the root of all of this. So now that I've, talked about all of our cognitive, emotional, physical, crazy, I don't know. I don't hate to call it crazy, but it feels that way. The root of it all is our locus of control. So if your emotional peace depends on someone else's behavior, something outside of you, right? There's that food, there's that alcohol, there's the work, there's the, right? If only they would recognize my hard work. If it is reliant on someone else's behavior, what you've actually done is hand over your power. Now, our external locus of control says, I'll be okay when they change. I'll be okay when I hit influencer status. I'll be okay when, right? Now, our internal locus, one moment. Our internal locus of control was, I can regulate me. I get to choose. So you want to ask yourself, whose hands is your peace in? What would change if it was yours again? And let's be real. I mean, we're here to be honest with ourselves. Nobody's here judging. Nobody's here, pointing fingers. We're all here for the same reason. Most of us are trained, right? Like we're trained to chase those gold stars and check marks, right? Like we want somebody else coming up and patting us on the back. Comparison culture raised us. And people pleasing is something that is praised in perfectionist packaging, right? But when you reclaim that internal locus of control, you become unshakable. And I have to say this because this is not mindset fluff. Okay, this isn't just mindset fluff. It's nervous system reality. Have you ever whispered to yourself, I am calm. I am calm. When you're in the middle of a meltdown? That is actually not mindset. It's delusion. Because mindset doesn't work if your nervous system is screaming. You're not failing. Your system is protecting you. And until you feel safe, you won't feel free. So I'm going to tell you some hard facts that, I don't know. Again, the external things, right, might prompt you to do, but you don't need more affirmations. You don't need them. I'm not saying don't have any. I'm just saying you don't need more. You need regulation. And quite honestly, you cannot journal your way out of a trauma response. You have to go deeper. You need to access, right? You need to gain access to the part of you that actually feels safe. And that's why we're here. Now, when we can see a thought, a feeling, an emotion, an experience coming at us, and we can sit there and say, all right, here it comes. I'm ready, right? Like I have what I need. And we don't fight against it. We don't try to avoid it or run from it. We just see it come. And it's like, wow, here comes a little bit of grief, right? Here comes a little bit of loneliness. Here comes a little bit of regret, whatever it is, right? Like, I don't want to bring in too many heavy trauma responses, but when we can see it coming and we look at it and we allow ourselves to sit in and move through, because it's just a moment. It's just a thought, right? We actually get to control those thoughts. So we get to choose what we do with it. And if we choose effectively and wisely in a state of self-regulation, we're retraining. So that's why we're here. Now, self-regulation doesn't necessarily, right, come because you say, oh, I'm going to regulate. I'm going to, I don't know. I like to use the diet as an example, right? So we have this thought process, right? Like, I'm going to quit drinking. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to go on a diet, and we go all in. And we go all in and we deprive ourselves, and we white knuckle through it, and we're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. We reach this goal of some sort, did it really fast, only to then just go, and then everything starts all over again. So we have to retrain ourselves to think about, how do I want to experience living? How do I want to see myself experiencing living? And how do I want to experience my environments? And how do I want to be received by them? And so we're creating a lifestyle that includes, as part of this system, this self-regulation, which is, just because my spouse disagrees with me doesn't mean I have to lose my cool. I get to say, all right, we don't agree on that. And sure, there's a whole lot more that goes into it, but we have to be willing to get into that. So let's break it down a little bit, right? Because this is the method that I live, eat, sleep, breathe, and teach to everybody in a way that, of course, serves them on an individual basis. But this is it, right? The thing that finally helped me stop spiraling, the thing that helped me stop snapping at the kids, being off put, by a comment my spouse had, or feeling less than if, I don't know, I didn't feel like I was keeping up with my, and I don't want to call them competitors, but, colleagues, people in the industry. Right. But it helped me get to a place where I could stop snapping and stop spiraling and stop comparing and actually start leading my own life again. And this is the foundation, right? The foundation. We react. I got in a little stutter spot there. We react, we reset, and we respond. So the react is that survival moment. That's that, whoop, that happened, but we reset real quick, right? The art of pause, man, I can't even tell you, right? Sometimes those pauses are super short and sometimes they're long and extensive, and people just think that they're supposed to be like this quick breath. But really, it's a space where I gotta check in, right? Like, why am I having a reaction to this thing that's outside of me? Why am I being triggered or prompted? And so we can reset in that space of breath, taking a breath, pausing, checking in, so that we can keep our central nervous system here, because if we let the spikes happen, then the crashes come. So the goal is, right here. So when we respond, it's your truth, not your trauma response, not your irritation, your agitation, your frustration, your hurt. So say it to yourself right now, in your head, out loud, whatever, you're all muted. React, reset, respond. This is how you're going to get to a space to begin that rewiring of your emotional defaults. This is the foundation of the work we do in total emotional performance. And it works even when life is throwing you big old heavy bricks, right? Like, it does. It actually works. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit more to go on here, because just having that thought alone, and I'm going to tell you, everything that I talk about is not just cognitive in nature. All of it requires that you apply it, that you practice it, that you try it, that you add, edit, delete, change, shift, morph it to fit you or the situation or whatever, right? Like, there's always work to be done. And so even manifestation is an action word. Yeah. So when that spiral starts, no theory is going to help you. You need lifelines. So what we want to do, right, is create some of those lifelines for ourselves. Now, for some, again, everybody's going to be a little bit different, but if you bring in texture, water, movement, right, you can shock yourself. You want to have something as a disruptor. Sometimes we need that. We need things that remind us to snap out of it, to look at it differently. So you want to breathe like your life depends on it, because a lot of times on an emotional level, it does, right? If we don't want to have a full emotional crash where all coping has gone out the window, you got to breathe. Again, breath is going to keep that central nervous system at a baseline. Pausing, feeling something, even if it's just fiddling with the button on your jacket, something, water, movement, something cold. And then you always can ask yourself amazing questions. right? Because if we can ask ourselves, here it comes, right? Like, oh, here comes this big, bad, ugly thing. The heavy brick is coming at my face. Is this real? Or am I rehearsing disaster again? So we do that. So we can try a soul scan, right? Asking yourself, what's my truth? Where's my tension? Is it in my shoulders? Is it in my jaw? Is it in my gut? Ask yourself, can you trust this moment? Can I trust this moment? These tools don't just manage chaos, they pull you out of it. Now, my favorite one, and it's one that I teach to everybody that comes to work with me, is my core non-physical feeling check-in. Now, it's a total process and it takes a lot of time to be able to do it really quick, but it's highly effective. And it's where you check in with your energy. It's where you check in with your truth. It's where you check in with your tension and your trust. It's more than just a body scan, and it's more than just a soul scan, right? Like, it's all inclusive. So I'll walk you through that in real time so that you can feel what clarity actually looks like. So the core non-physical feeling check-in sounds like, right here, right now, in this moment, I feel. Now, this could be any adjective, right? Make it an accurate one, but it could feel like irritated, agitated, annoyed, frustrated, bothered, anxious, depressed, intrigued, excited, elated, inspired, right? Like, so right here, right now, in this moment, I feel. I'm going to bring in your locus of control, right? What's driving this feeling in this moment? How much of that comes from me or is for me or about me? And how much of that comes from something, someone outside of me? And how much of it is about them or for them? What do I need to do in this time and space going forward to improve this situation? Or even if it's positive, right? To capitalize on the momentum, on this feeling. How can I hold on to it? Right? So we want to utilize that. I use it before getting out of my car and going into a store, right? I use it before walking into any space, right? Did it before coming here. Now, for me, it's a lot more rapid because I've been, utilizing it and relying upon it for years, because I can't get in my car and drive and be distracted and then get irritated and annoyed by somebody else that is doing something that I have no idea what's going on in their life. If they're tailgating me, I should just move over, right? And let them go by, because for all I know, they're in a hurry to get to the hospital, right? Because their kid just got hit by a train. So what I want to have is flexibility and not get derailed by what somebody else is doing, right? So I will do the core non-physical feeling check-in in between everything, in between sessions, in between groups, in between podcasts, in between events, in between the car and Pilates to home, and whatever it is, right? Like, it's a constant running, because it's that important. Yeah. So how this shows up in real life, okay, we'll strip it down a little bit, right? Like, so, because here's the deal. You don't, and I know a lot of people listen and then they're like, but that's not me, right? Like, I'm not an emotional basket case. You don't need to be. You don't need to be on the floor, kicking your feet, crying, having a 3-year-old tantrum or throwing things at people to be in an emotional crisis. Right? It doesn't always look like that. In fact, most of the time it doesn't. And I'm quite honestly, these emotional crises, they show up in everyday quiet stuff. This was a big one for me. Snapping at your kids for asking one extra question while you're cooking dinner or washing dishes, right? Because you're so up in your head. You're thinking about work, you're thinking about something in the future, and they're interrupting, right? So you're snapping at it. And that doesn't have to be kids, it could be anybody. Right? We've all done it to our spouses. We've all snapped at coworkers, whatever, right? Obsessively checking your calendar or inbox because you're afraid you're going to miss something. Right? Oh, I feel like, oh, right. And so we get that FOMO, the fear of missing out, the fear of forgetting, because we've just got everything so jumbled up in our head. Other ways look like ghosting your own growth because you're so emotionally drained you can't even start. I just can't today. Like I just can't today. Instead of, I'm going to modify my day to match where I am emotionally, and I'm just going to start small. Sometimes it looks like playing it calm when you're in public, but the second you're alone, you numb out, you rage out, or you just shut down altogether. Now, this is one of my favorite ones to get a little bit of focus, because I think especially in today's world, depending upon what you do for a living or what it looks like, right? Like we're always, I mean, I was raised this way and it was part of my whole thing, right? Like you put on your best face. When you leave the house, you leave all the personal stuff, right? You go out, you're put together, you're polished, your hair is combed, you got your lipstick on, whatever it is, right? You're smiling. Oh, my life is so perfect. And then you get home and you're unloading on your spouse, right? Like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. Can't believe she did that and he said that and this person over here did that, right? You get to work and somebody cut you off. So now you're getting your coffee, you're telling everybody all about it. Like this person on the freeway, I can't even believe they did this, da da da. At lunch, you're still talking about it. And of course, you've added some other things along the way that are just, oh, this whole day is irritating. And da 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 da. You get home at night, you unload it all onto your spouse, and then you shut down. I can't do another thing. I'm not making dinner. I'm not whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm just shutting down. Yeah, right. But to the rest of the world, we're calm, cool, collected, poised, pretty and pink and perfect, right? And we call this burnout. Another pet peeve of mine. We call this burnout like it's just too many meetings or too little sleep. My pet peeve, I don't have time. But it's so much deeper. It's not just exhaustion. It's complete misalignment. You've built a life that you can manage. You can manage it. Now it's time to build one that you can allow yourself to feel. And the way that we start is by noticing where your energy is leaking, where you've outsourced your power, where your emotional capacity has been hijacked, So if nothing else lands today, I want you to hear this. Okay? You don't need more hustle. You don't need to blame yourself more. You just need clarity. You need your power back. And this is where we shift from coping to performance. And I have a fly flying around me. Anyway, so this is all on the app, and slash, new update. The desktop version is being worked right now. So for those of you who prefer to do things on your desktop versus an app, it's being built. There are some things on another, anyway, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter, right? But we do this all inside of Total Emotional Performance. And it's my job to know how to direct you to where you need to go, whether it's the desktop or the app or whatever. But it's not a course. And so I want you to know that, because I know that there's a lot of, courses, there's a lot of trackers, there's, a lot of tools without other things. But the way that we function inside of my world, right? It's a living, breathing, emotional ecosystem that is built to meet you exactly where you are. So you can grab, right, the free guide here. It's a downloadable, and in that you'll have your emotional audit map that you can go through and start there. Excuse the psychonutrition, April 22nd. I forgot to remove that. Because this is our second take, because, right, Zoom went down on us the last time we tried to be here. Anyway, or you can get onto the app. We have free coping audits, we have free habit audits, we have free emotional agility quizzes, so you can start to get to know yourself. Where am I? So that you can start building your own emotional ecosystem, knowing that I'm there to help guide you, create strategy. You'll find other tools and trainings there, and support also, right? The next level strategies. And again, you'll find me. And you'll find you again. So if you show up for yourself today, right, you can download the emotional audit map and do that little thing for you, simple but powerful framework, all for you, and lean in so that you can spot where you've been giving your power away and leaking your emotional energy. It's just a starting point, but it should help you. Now, if any of you, need to go deeper, and again, I'll take a look at the chat. I'll be happy to answer any questions. We do have about 15 minutes left. But you can get into the app. If you want to go deeper, you can, in a Google browser, go to go.geteq.me. Totally complimentary strategy call. I might have you answer some questions before we meet, so we get to know you a little bit, so that we can have the most effective time together. But also, you can take a look at Emotional Agility Elite. This is where I work privately with high achievers who are done pretending that they're fine. And we do this in a couple different avenues. One of that is live for yourself first, live free. It's how we cut these emotional cords and create our or should I say we cultivate, nurture, and begin the conditioning process of the tools that are going to serve us. Or we dive into attain, which is where you align your goals to your personal esteem needs. And then maintain is all about staying consistent without crashing, and really allowing all of your relationships to sit in that space with you. So we can have a conversation about that. I don't make that, there's no, you can't sign up for those without being an agility elite and having a conversation with me first. So we can make sure it's the right spot. But anyway, if this is not a group, it's not just group fluff. It's not blow steam or smoke, right? It's not a one size fits all anything type of coaching. It's support, and it's high level support for people who are done pretending they're fine. They're done spiraling, and they want to build emotional sustainability. So I will invite you to do any of those things, right? And if for some reason or another you didn't catch that, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm easy to find, right? And I'll be happy to get you any of those things, the links or whatever, right? So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And thank you for being here today. And away we go.